Womanjika everyone, Womanjika meaning welcome. My name is Auntie Julianne and I'm an out of the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people, and in recognition of doing my welcome to country, I'd like to pay my respects to my elders past, present, future and any elders that were here today, and I would also like to welcome you all here today. The Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung tribe consists of 3 families, the Nevins, the Terricks and the Wandins, and I'm part of the Nevin family. The 3 families all descend from one woman called Annie Barratt, which makes us one big family. Annie Barratt is the youngest sister of William Barratt, a pioneer for Aboriginal people in the 19th century, fighting for equality and land rights. I'm here today to welcome you all to the land of my ancestors. We call the land within our tribal boundaries our country. The Kulin Nation, Kulin meaning man, is made up of 5 groups. They are the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung, Boonwurrung, Tanarong, Wathaurong and Dja Dja Wurrung. And to give you an outline of the Wurundjeri country and the area we cover. Wurundjeri country extends from north to the Great Dividing Range, east to Mount Baw Baw, south to the Moolalic Creek and west to the Werribee River. We cover a diverse range of land from the mountains to the beach and everything in between. Many thousands of years ago, if an Aboriginal person from another tribe wanted to cross our boundary, they would have to sit at the boundary and wait for the Narragadah, which is the headman, or an elder to come past to give permission to cross. Traditional Aboriginal culture was highly territorial, and visitors risked a violent reprisal for crossing a tribal or clan boundary without this permission, and this is how a welcome to country originated in our culture. Traditionally, being welcomed onto country meant you respected Bunjil's law. Bunjil the wedge-tailed eagle is our creator, and Wah the crow is our protector. And as long as you looked after the country, you had access to our waterways and our land resources. And when you enter our country, we ask that you respect our resources, our fauna, flora and water, as they are very special to us. And when you are ready to leave, we ask that you leave it the way you found it.
We have lots of council services that support our community. We support families with children, including health services for children and mums, vaccinations, playgroups, childcare, and kinder. We support young people in our community. Through events and activities, we have services that can support people with disability, older people, and carers and family of people with disability and older people. Our libraries support everyone in our community, help people learn new things, and are free to join. We support our community to have fun and be active through events and activities, sport, and recreation areas. We help look after our places and spaces, the environment, and local businesses. We have laws to keep people safe, to make sure buildings are safe, to make sure roads and footpaths are safe, to make sure our places and spaces are safe. We make sure everyone follows the law to keep our community safe and happy. Moonee Valley. It's a great place to live, work, and visit.
Welcome to the Council meeting. I'm Councillor Piers Tyson, Mayor of Moonee Valley City Council. We aim to get started every second Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. However, sometimes there are some delays behind the scenes that we need to work through, and we appreciate your patience. You can have a look at our agenda online for all the issues that we'll be talking about tonight, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks. So every second Tuesday we work through our council agenda, and what that means is working through things from procedural, day-to-day issues, financial reports, all the way up to the most important things in Moonee Valley, in Victoria or in Australia. And councillors can put up alternatives to that, can put up our staff officers' recommendation, and we can debate that and vote yes or no at the end of the day.
Hello everybody and welcome to our council meeting for the 11th of June 2024, which I now declare open at 6:30 p.m. I'd like to warmly welcome members of the public gallery who have joined us tonight, as well as those watching from home via live stream. As well as being live streamed, the video recording of this meeting will be available on our website, so attendees in the gallery are advised that your presence may be recorded. I also ask that mobile phones please be switched to silent mode during the meeting. A reminder as well to the public in the gallery that as per Governance Rule 75.1, personal video and audio recordings are not allowed. On behalf of Moonee Valley City Council, I respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which Moonee Valley is located, the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people of the Kulin Nation, and I pay my respects to their spirits, ancestors, community members and elders past, present and emerging. I'd also like to extend this respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. Councillors, we have item 2 on the agenda, apologies and leave of absence. I note that our Mayor, Councillor Tyson, is an apology for this evening. No other councillor absence is requested, unless, do I have a leave of absence? No? Okay. Okay, I'll just check. Yeah. Okay, no problems. So, item 3, councillors, can I please have a mover and a seconder that the minutes from the council meeting held on Tuesday, 28th May 2024 be confirmed, please? Councillor Bedio. Just got to check that date on the screen. No, it's 28th. Yep. Thank you. Councillor Bedio moved that. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Sypek, thank you. Councillor Bedio, would you like to speak to the motion? Councillor Sypek, would you like to speak to the motion? Any other councillor like to speak to the motion? Okay, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillors, does any councillor have a conflict of interest in any item on the agenda this evening, please? Councillor Bettio?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll declare a general conflict of interest for agenda item 9.3.
Thank you, Councillor Bettio. Any other councillor wish to declare a conflict of interest? No other councillor? Okay. Councillors, do we have any presentations tonight, please? No? Next on the agenda is petitions and joint letters. I believe we have a number of petitions tonight. The first one is a Change.org petition titled Save Lives on Pascoe Road, Napier Crescent to Woodland Street. However, Change.org petitions do not include any email addresses of each petitioner, as required by our Governance Rule 62.3.4, unless Council determines otherwise by resolution. So, councillors, can I please have a mover and a seconder that Council resolves to accept the Change.org petition titled Save Lives on Pascoe Road, Napier Crescent to Woodland Street to be presented at the Council meeting tonight? Councillor O'Neill. Seconder, Councillor Byrne. Councillor O'Neill, would you like to speak to the motion? Councillor Byrne, would you like to speak? Any other councillor wish to speak? Okay, thank you. I shall put that to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. So now that the petition can be accepted, can I ask a councillor who would like to table that petition, please? Thank you. Councillor Adams.
Thank you, Deputy. Council received a petition signed by 934 people, including approximately 190 Moonee Valley residents, The petition notes that traffic-related risks such as excessive speeds, lack of pedestrian crossings and high-volume traffic pose a significant risk to motorists and pedestrians and have contributed to an increasing rate of accidents between Napier Crescent and Woodland Street on Pascoe Road in Essendon. The petition calls on Council to consider implementing the following in order to reduce accidents in the area. Traffic lights at Napier Crescent / Pascoe Road, Essendon. A pedestrian crossing at Napier Crescent / Pascoe Road, and reducing the speed limit to 40 kilometres per hour. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. So in accordance with Governance Rule 62.4, I refer that petition to the CEO for consideration. Councillors, do we have any other petitions or joint letters, please? Councillor Adams.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. I have a petition titled Speed Humps on Lorraine Street, Essendon. Council has received a petition from 90%, which is 18 households of Lorraine Street, Essendon residents. They are requesting speed humps to be installed on their street, similar to parallel streets, in order to address the risk issues caused by speeding motorists. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. So in accordance with Governance Rule 62.4, I refer that petition to the CEO for consideration. Councillors, do we have any other petitions or joint letters? Thank you, Councillor Sypek.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. I have a further petition that Council has received, and it's been signed by approximately 238 residents of Moonee Valley and traders, and the petition requests that Council reinstate the funds back into the budget that were allocated for the aviation themed playground at Centreway Shopping Centre East Keilor. The reasons for that, the current playground is inadequate, small, ageing, and there has been an influx of young families to this area, resulting in increased use of the park, and the current equipment does not cater for the current usage. And I've already given a copy of the 238 to governance already.
Thank you, Councillor Sypek. So in accordance with Governance Rule 62.4, I refer that petition to the CEO for consideration. So we now have come to public question time, and we received 9 questions this evening. The first question is from Nicole Mercer, who is joining us this evening. So Nicole, would you like to come up to ask your question, please?
Hi, good evening, councillors. Thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight. The question that I have relates to the Reimagining Avondale Heights consultation, which was undertaken in June of 2023. Council's website indicates that feedback is being reviewed, however, no detail is given on that process at all. And just also note that the outcomes of the 24-25 budget don't indicate any feedback that was provided in that process, and the current consultation for Reimagining Moonee Valley 2040 also doesn't either. I was wondering if we could provide some connection on those things through this process.
Thank you, Nicole. I'll refer your questions to our CEO, Helen Swee, to respond.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Through the Chair, Council plans to act on the Reimagining Avondale Heights consultation by working with the community to develop local projects, strengthen partnerships, and encourage more diverse use of community facilities, particularly with young people and seniors. While Reimagine Avondale Heights is primarily a project to revitalize community facilities in the Avondale Heights and Mineara neighborhoods, a range of community feedback received also related to parks, playgrounds, and open spaces. The feedback that came through Reimagining Avondale Heights will be shared across departments and will be considered as part of the implementation of Council's new open space strategy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Thanks for coming in. The next 3 questions relate to planning item 9.1 MV-462-2023 at 6 Napier Crescent, Essendon, which is on tonight's agenda. The first 2 questions are from Peter Campbell, who is also joining us this evening. Peter, would you like to join us to ask your question?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Such density of dwellings as in this application is entirely out of keeping with the existing character of the surrounding neighbourhood south of the railway line by Napier Crescent. Does Council believe the scale and density of this proposal is appropriate, or will Council reject this application?
Thank you, Peter. Or if you refer your question to our CEO, Helen Swede, to respond.
Thank you, Peter. Through the Chair, the Council report outlines the reasoning behind the recommendation, namely that the proposal balances various competing interests and delivers on the purpose and vision and planning policy framework objectives of the Moonee Valley Planning Scheme. Thank you.
And the other question was also in regard to the same development. There is an opportunity for Council to ensure improved amenity for residents in Kilmartin Street, as well as the inhabitants of these new dwellings once built. Will Council mandate the use of etched glass or opaque film on all windows of the southern elevation of the development, which are currently proposed to have privacy battens?
Thank you, Peter. I'll refer to our CEO, Helen Swede, to respond.
Thank you, Peter. Through the Chair, the southern side of the proposed development essentially complies as depicted in the amended plans, section 57A, and further conditioned in the recommendation. Replacing the battens with opaque glass may compromise the internal amenity. There is a condition 1B in the recommendation, that requires some improvements to the design of the privacy screen in dwelling 4 and 6 to improve solar access while ensuring compliance. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for coming in. Question 4 is from Pam and Charlie McShannock, who are not joining us this evening. So on behalf of Pam and Charlie, they ask, what guarantee can the Council offer to ensure the developers will be required to apply for and adhere to a construction management plan, and how can we be assured that the development is not a safety risk to residents, vehicles and pedestrians in the ROW? Development should adhere to the right-of-way access for abutting development proposals guidelines. What assurances can you give? Thank you, Pam and Charlie. I'll refer our CEO, Helen Swede, to respond.
Thank you, Pam and Charlie. Through the Chair, Condition 7 within the recommended conditions requires the permit applicant to lodge a construction and site management plan, that is CSMP. The plan must be prepared in accordance with Council's CSMP guideline and templates, which can be found on Council's website. The plan must be lodged at least 30 days before the commencement of works. CSMPs are required for specific types of developments, such as this one adjacent to a laneway. Once the plan is submitted and approved by Council, all construction work and activities must be undertaken in accordance with the approved plan, and Council's planning enforcement team is required to actively monitor sites to ensure compliance. This guideline has been considered by Council's Traffic and Transport Unit in reviewing the proposed development. Additionally, the required construction and site management plan on developments with access from laneways includes sections reflecting these guidelines to ensure that right-of-ways are managed appropriately and for Council to regularly check compliance during construction. Council is also to issue infringement fines if compliance is not maintained. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. The next two questions are from Peter Robinson, who is not joining us this evening. So on behalf of Peter, is MVCC considering a highball stadium of only 2 to 4 courts? Thank you, Peter. I'll refer our CEO, Helen Swede, to respond.
Thank you, Peter. Through the Chair, consistent with the Council's resolution of 28th of May 2024, Council will continue to investigate and assess suitable opportunities for 2 to 4 court indoor sports facilities within Moonee Valley in terms of practicality and affordability within the context of Council's long-term capital works budget and other partnership opportunities. Thank you.
Peter's second question has been disallowed as per Governance Rule 61.8.1 as it relates to a matter that is outside the powers of Council. So the next question is from Alex Mungle, who is not joining us this evening. So on behalf of Alex, what do councillors think is the best bike east-west route through Ascot Vale? Thank you, Alex. I'll request our CEO, Helen Swee, to respond.
Thank you, Alex. Through the Chair, Council advocates for and supports participation in active and sustainable transport throughout Ascot Vale and across the municipality. Residents are encouraged to scoot or cycle on shared paths, off-street bike lanes and local streets throughout the municipality, including the principal bicycle network roads such as Ormond Road, Melbourne Road and Epsom Road. Under the Victoria Road rules, cyclists are also permitted to ride on the footpath when accompanying a child under 13 years old. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. The following two questions are from Tommy Ledoux and Hamish Jones, who are not joining us this evening. Both questions are on the same topic of the Moonee Valley City Council flyer regarding the kindergarten redevelopment project and are therefore like questions under Governance Rule 61.10, and a single response will be provided to them. So question 8, Tommy Ledoux. Considering this announcement was already announced in June's edition of the Valley View, already distributed to the whole city, why did the council feel it was necessary to distribute this flyer, and how much did it cost ratepayers to produce and distribute this flyer? Question 9, Hamish Jones. Will council refer itself to the Inspectorate and the VEC to ensure no rules were breached regarding electioneering? Thank you, Tommy and Hamish. I'll refer your questions to our CEO, Helen Swee, to respond.
Thank you, Tommy and Hamish. Through the Chair, long-term secure funding for early years education has been a focus of the Council's advocacy strategy. We are very excited about the Victorian Government's announcement of more than $20 million investments to fully fund the upgrades of 5 council-owned kindergarten facilities in Kilo East, Essendon, Ascot Vale and Airport West. This will see more than 500 new kindergarten places become available within the municipality by 2028-29. Information containing the news was distributed to catchment areas surrounding the 5 kinder facilities, with a QR code linked to Council's Kindergarten Redevelopment webpage. This is to ensure that families surrounding those 5 kinder facilities have easy access to important project information, including implications on current and future years kindergarten enrollments at these kinder facilities. The total cost, including production and distribution, was approximately $2,200, which included delivery to approximately 6,000 labouring households. The information in the flyer is factual and in compliance with relevant legislative requirements and Council's brand guidelines. Our residents love Council's kindergarten service, and we are proud of this huge advocacy win and highly appreciate of the strong support from the Victorian Government. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Reports from delegates. Councillors, do we have any reports as delegates, please? No? Okay. So we move on to reports, and the first report is 9.1 MV-462-2023 at 6 Napier Crescent, Essendon. So, councillors, the officer's recommendation is shown on the screen. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Adams.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'd like to move an alternative motion to refuse, please.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. Did you want to read that out?
I will, thank you. That Council resolves to issue a notice of decision to refuse to grant a permit in relation to planning permit application number MV 4622023 at 6 Napier Crescent, Essendon, in brackets lot 18 on PS 004557, close brackets, for the construction of 8 dwellings for the following reasons. 1, the proposed building height, scale and massing fails to meet the objectives and strategies of clauses 15.01-1S in brackets urban design, 15.01-1L in brackets urban design, 15.01-2S in brackets building design, and 15.01-5S in brackets neighbourhood character of the Moonee Valley planning scheme, and would result in a building design and siting outcome that fails to positively contribute to the local context and enhance the public realm, and will present a visually dominant built form to the streetscapes. 2, the proposal fails to satisfy the following standards contained within clause 55 in brackets 2 or more dwellings on a lot, close brackets, of the Moonee Valley planning scheme, and does not achieve an acceptable outcome in terms of the following objectives. A, clause 55.03-1 in brackets street setback. B, clause 55.04-1 in brackets side and rear setbacks. And C, clause 55.05-4 in brackets private open space, and D, clause 55.05-5 in brackets solar access to open space. 3, the proposed waste collection for the development may disrupt operation of the laneway. 4, vehicular access to for dwellings 3 to 8 may disrupt operation of the laneway. 5, the proposed development is an overdevelopment of the land.
Thank you, Councillor.
Deputy Mayor, I might just clarify the "and" after Part B shouldn't be there. Can we delete that "and" at the end there that I read out, please? Oh, it is out. Okay, thanks.
Do I have a seconder for that motion, please? Councillor O'Neill, thank you. Councillor Adams, would you like to speak to the motion?
I will, thank you. There are a lot of reasons I support this refusal. This development is an overdevelopment of this site. It's just above 1,000 square metres, and to have 8 townhouses squished onto it makes it for very small lots, and is not a good outcome. The 2 neighbouring properties with similar land size have 4 on each, which is much more reasonable for this particular site and neighbourhood. The development fails to positively contribute to the local neighbourhood and is a visually dominant built form to the streetscape, and also the narrow laneway most of the townhouses will be facing. The 0 setback at the first level makes for a very boxy design that isn't a good design outcome. The laneway is currently used by many properties that back onto it from Napier Crescent, Ardoch Street and Kilmartin Street in Essendon. As this development faces the laneway, it will make it a pedestrian walkway, which poses safety concerns that I'm not comfortable with, especially with waste collection added to the mix as part of the application. Even with the setback, the safety of residents and pedestrians is at risk, which is unacceptable. What also makes this block unique is the proximity to the roundabout on Napier Crescent. Access to and from the laneway is awkward because of this. There is also no parking on the street near this site, and although there is parking in the garages off the laneway is very narrow, and the turns in and out of the garages could be a bit tricky in reality. Adding more traffic to this laneway will disrupt its current operation, and so I'll be supporting this refusal and hope colleagues can too. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. Councillor O'Neill, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just am in support of Councillor Adams' notice of decision to refuse this planning application for many of the same reasons that Councillor Adams has highlighted. The townhouses are quite small, which they need to be able to fit 8 dwellings on the size of a block this size. The neighbouring blocks, as Councillor Adams has highlighted, situate 4 townhouses, which just aesthetically looks better for the neighbourhood. There are some issues with the setbacks that fail to satisfy standards set in the Moonee Valley planning scheme as per the writing in the refusal. I am concerned about the traffic. There's going to be a high volume of cars coming and going down a very narrow laneway to access the garage, which is also going to be used by pedestrians to access a door that opens up directly into the laneway. So I fear for safety of the cars moving about and the pedestrians as well. Parking is also an issue, as highlighted by Councillor Adams. There is a roundabout in close proximity and minimal street parking out the front. So the cars for the 8 dwellings will have to park in the surrounding streets, and thus making the streets busier with cars in the area. There is also some issues with the waste management and collection, which haven't been appropriately addressed. So thanks.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Any other councillor like to speak to this motion? Councillor Video.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Look, I'll be very brief. I'm generally in support of diversification of housing and ongoing development to ensure that we meet the needs of those, in particular the younger generation wanting to purchase and live in our city. However, I would concur with Councillor Adams and Councillor O'Neill that I believe in this instance the application is an overdevelopment of the land, and therefore I'll be supporting the refusal.
Thank you, Councillor Video. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Sypek.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. I was a 50-50 on this, and I was watching the news this morning, and I noticed there was an announcement about the 80,000 homes that have to be built every year by the state government. Now, I don't know if we refuse this, if this goes to VCAT, it could actually come back far worse than what the current application is and that our planners approved. So I always worry when we are going against officers' recommendation, and they've looked at this project, they've looked at it thoroughly, they've looked at all the things, and I'm just surprised that they didn't come up with these objections in the first place and did a refusal. And like I said, I'm 50-50. I just worry if it does go to VCAT, it gets taken out of council's hands and it could come back far worse. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sypek. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Isa.
Thanks, Mayor. Look, I concur with the comments of Councillor Bedio just now that, we are looking to try to increase the housing supply within Moonee Valley, but we also have a responsibility to look really carefully at the detail of each application and not just pass things just because they include a particular number of dwellings and homes of any particular style. So I do think that this has a number of flaws, and I'm comfortable with the refusal that's been moved by Councillor Adams. Look, I take the points made by Councillor Sypek on board. It's not always the case, though, that the officers are right and councillors are overcautious, or the other way around. We can all get things wrong or right if VCAT's considered to be the arbiter of planning, which, it's the authority, obviously. Look, there was recently a decision, I think it was, I can't quite remember the number, it was Keilor Road, it was 95, it was something like 95 or 94 Keilor Road, I'm not quite sure of the exact number, but it was recommended to us. It was a very large development on top of the IGA, I believe, in Keilor Road. It was recommended to us to support. We refused the application, and VCAT upheld our refusal, our councillor refusal. So, look, our planners work really hard. They put to us their best recommendations. We have a statutory responsibility to cast our eye over that and make our assessment, which we're doing in the chamber, and VCAT is a final arbiter, and that's the process. And I don't think we should worry about that process taking its course. And so I'm comfortable with the refusal being put forward by Councillor Adams. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Isa. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Hodgson.
Just really briefly, look, I was a bit on the fence about this one as well because the officers did do a good job of trying to condition a lot of the issues that the application has. But in speaking to it, Councillor Adams has pointed out the conflict between pedestrians and cars in that very narrow laneway, and I hadn't really turned my mind to that and the idea of the front doors of those dwellings along the laneway opening straight onto the lane. I know there'll be a difference between the 1.6 metre setback, which will be not cobblestone, but nominally for pedestrians, but there won't be a gutter, a curb to sort of protect pedestrians. And then I also consider, people accepting deliveries, vans coming, and the disruption in the laneway of people's primary front door being on that laneway, which isn't the case as far as I can tell for most of the rest of the lane. I won't say all because I think there is a development there at the other end. But look, that tips me over into being in favour of this refusal as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Hodgson. Any other councillor? You're the only one, Councillor Venn?
I wasn't going to, but because everybody else has, look, I will be supporting the refusal. I won't be supporting the officer's recommendation. For me, it was mainly in regards to the vehicle access. I liked the idea, but there were too many red flags for me that I think would be very problematic for the area if this development was to go ahead. So I will be supporting the refusal.
Thank you, Councillor Byrne. There was some dissent, I believe, from during that conversation with councillors. So, Councillor Adams, would you like to a right of reply? No? Okay. I'll put that to the vote then. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Unanimously carried. So 9.2, endorsement of the F.J. Davies Reserve Draft Landscape Concept Plan 2024 to 2034 for community engagement. Councillors, the officer's recommendation is shown on the screen. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Sypek?
Happy to move the officer's recommendation, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Byrne, thank you. Councillor Sypek, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, Madam Deputy Mayor. We've been consulting on this master plan since 2018, and if this is the process that we have to go through to do a further consultation, I'm more than willing to support it to get the end result, which is what the community and the traders want. Currently, we stand right now with the traders and the community and 826 people signing the petition. Now, that's a very, very good response for a children's playground. So I recommend to my colleagues to support this master plan in the first steps to getting this redevelopment of the master plan and the implementation of the playground back into place.
Thank you, Councillor Sypek. Councillor Byrne, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I will. I'm really excited about this motion coming before us tonight, and I will be supporting what Councillor Sypek has moved. This has obviously been something that we've been working on, everyone from Council has been working very hard on for a long period of time. I still remember the initial consultation back in 2018. Now, obviously a lot of things have happened in the meantime since 2018, and I spoke about that last year when we moved to get this concept plan back to us in the first place. But we're here now, and I think a couple of things that I wanted to highlight was that not every bit of open space within our municipality that has infrastructure on it does have a concept plan or a master plan. Sometimes we do go ahead and we do things without that. Now, we didn't have something for the Centreway, and we thought that it would be a good idea too, but it has taken a while to get there. But in the meantime, we have worked on the outdoor stage and shelter. I do apologise for my voice going, I'm trying my best. The outdoor stage and shelter the plantings and mural at the back of the stage, the raised pedestrian crossings, which have been incredibly popular, and the greening of the corners, which is still being undertaken now. Now, they've all been little bits that we've been able to chip off without a concept plan, and there's obviously been a lot of discussion in regards to the playground as well, which potentially would have, could have, maybe still can occur before the finalisation of a concept plan for the area. But considering we'll be discussing more about that with the draft budget, I'll leave that one there. But I will note that there's been so much discussion about anything going on in the Centreway over the past 12 months, whether that has been the works that I mentioned before, whether that's been parklets, whether that's been playgrounds, whether that's been parking and raised pedestrian crossings. And I actually think this is a good thing for council. I actually really like it when residents or people come to us and say, hey, we love our community so much, we want to make it better, how can we do it? And I think that what this concept plan will do will actually give us a really good and clear way forward. It is, I also want to note that the draft plan is consistent with our draft open space strategy as well, which I think is incredibly important. So thank you to everyone who helped get it to this stage. I really do hope that this next step can be done as quickly as possible to still get a really good result. We want to make sure we hear feedback, and I do accept that there will be a lot of people who think that we have over-consulted on this area, and I do understand that. I'm more than happy to talk through that with anyone who has any questions. But we're almost there, guys. Fingers crossed we can get a really good outcome for the Centreway. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Byrne. Any other councillor wish to speak to this motion? Councillor O'Neill?
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. I was really excited when I saw the concept plan for the Centreway. I think the Centreway is great. It's really unique piazza-style retail and open space with great little shops and cafes around. But the playground and the surrounds is aged, and it's not overly nice to look at. It does lack greenery. It lacks seating and gathering areas. It is a bit of a concrete brick jungle in the middle there. So I think that the concept plan, putting in some more green space, will be really good for the residents, the traders and anyone who visits the Centreway. We've had some really good events in the past at the Centreway, and I think that updating the open space there in order to hold better community events, such as the Mediterranean Fiesta that was held there not that long ago, will be fantastic. And I think just having more usability of the park and the playground will be fantastic. I also think it'll improve the overall look of the Centreway, which will help attract really high quality retail into the shops, obviously attract some more visitors to the area, which will be great for the traders to help improve the economic sustainability of all the small businesses in the area. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Any other councillor wish to speak to this motion? No, Councillor Isa?
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Look, this is a great looking draft concept plan for Centreway. Obviously, we wait to hear what community feedback there is on it before deciding whether it fits everybody's needs and the like. I do think it can't, the night can't go without it being said, though, that there's obviously been some disquiet in the last couple of weeks about playgrounds at Centreway, and I've got to say that some of the comments to me online have been pretty blunt, and I have tried very hard to provide information to people that's to hand, but it wasn't until last Friday that we were able to publicly present this plan to people. And I think that what this plan shows is that while there might have been a sense that Centreway was being ignored, in fact Centreway was being the opposite, was being given a lot of attention, and the development of this bigger and better plan, several $1 million worth of planning, was being put together. So I do think that it's necessary to clarify again that council told our officers to take two separate projects that weren't necessarily integrated well, and we, around the chamber,
I moved a motion that put pause on one of those projects so that this bigger and better project could be fully realised with the consultation that's attached to that. And I think it's really necessary for us to communicate really clearly with community members all of those details so that people understand why we're making the decisions we're making. We want the best for the dish and want it to be the best it can be, but we can't send our officers in two different directions at once. We have to take the logical planning steps and spend public money wisely. So I'm fully support putting this wonderful plan out for consultation and look forward to the feedback that is returned.
Thank you, Councillor Isa. Any other councillor wish to speak to this motion? Councillor Hodgson?
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Look, I'll just make a quick comment. I think it is a really great concept plan, and I think, in this term of council, we have brought the Moonee Valley Festival back to Queen's Park, but we haven't completely abandoned the idea that we will spread our festival and events around. And I think Centreway is that unique and wonderful site. And we've shown that in the last few years of our festival and events with having some really thriving festivals up at Centreway. So in order to do that, and one of the risks as noted in the report is that the decision to not endorse the draft plan presents a risk of individual isolated projects being built on FJ Davies Reserve in a fragmented way and not being responsive to community need or desire. And I think Councillor Burns spoke to that we've done some things and we've made it a better site and tried to maximise its potential as a place for people to gather and celebrate and have things like the wonderful Mediterranean Festa. If we put this out and get some feedback on it, we'll be able to move forward with a plan that works for everyone that works around, all the traders around Centreway, all the people that visit Centreway, and council who want to keep holding wonderful events up at Centreway. So thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other councillor wish to speak to this motion? Otherwise, I shall put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. So the next report is 9.3, Fair Access, Adoption of the Seasonal Sport Allocation Policy and Sports Infrastructure Policy. So Councillor Bedio has declared a conflict, so I'll just ask Councillor, you need to declare again and then,
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. I'll declare a general conflict of interest for agenda item 9.3, Fair Access, Adoption of the Seasonal Sport Allocation Policy and the Sports Infrastructure Policy for reasons previously declared to the CEO in writing.
Thank you, Councillor Bedio. Councillors, the officer's recommendation is shown on the screen. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Byrne? What would you like to move?
Oh, sorry. The officer's recommendation, thanks.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor O'Neill? Thank you. Councillor Byrne, would you like to speak to the motion?
I will, and I think that the reason why hopefully the reason why no one really put their hand up really quickly isn't because no one wanted to. I feel like this is such a wonderful report, and I'd like to start by thanking the officers. This is one of the most, I feel like it's one of the most thorough processes that we've gone through this council term to finally get to this point. It's come through the chamber in various forms for now, and we're sort of finally at a point where we can, I think, be really proud of it. So I have to thank the CEO and the officers for that, because this motion right now is noting the Fair Access Community Consultation Summary Report and adopting the Seasonal Sport Allocation Policy and Sports Infrastructure Policy. It went out for draft a couple of months ago, and now it has come back to us with a couple of minor tweaks. I think one thing that we can be really proud of is that we are really trying to put women and girls at the front and centre in a lot of our policies, and to make sure that there is that equitable use across our facilities. Having a policy is one thing and then implementing it is another, and I think that what these do together will really be able to enable our officers to do that. I'm really, really excited about this, and I really love that. I feel like we're going to be leaders in this space following this. So it's exciting. So again, thank you to everyone who put work into getting this out there. It's a great read for anyone who hasn't. There's a really good update in regards to the seasonal sport allocation, but also the infrastructure policy in terms of what council pays for and what are all the club's responsibilities. So it'll be something that people will be able to have a good look at and hopefully really enjoy the read. Thanks, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Byrne. Councillor O'Neill. Thank you.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Just to add on to Councillor Byrne, I quite like that in the infrastructure policy there is a mention that financial contributions by sporting clubs will not imply ownership or exclusive use of facilities, which I think is really important because we do have some sports clubs which are much bigger than others. So I do like that there still will be that shared access, and despite the size of your club and how much financial backing you may have. One of the highlighted issues for me in the Fair Access community consultation was just around that safety and enjoyability of sports for particularly female participants. So really working on making sure we can try and improve female participation in sports by identifying some of the areas that were highlighted as a bit of a barrier for that. But otherwise, yeah, thank you to everyone behind these two, the report and the two policies. It's really good to see that we're moving towards making our sports better for everyone.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Any other councillor wish to speak to this motion? Councillor Isa?
Thanks. Yeah, look, I was probably a bit slow to put my hand up for a slightly different reason. I know that Councillor Byrne didn't want to put words in anyone's mouth, so but when we brought this for consultation, I did make some comments around how pleasing it is that we're obviously taking this step to move towards making sure that everything is inclusive, gender inclusive, and making sure that the fair and equitable towards women and children, women and girls is fully embedded as we need to. But I did make the point that I guess I hoped that we would also use the opportunity to expand it further to being even more gender inclusive. And I know that officers have done that through some language around making sure that things are for all target populations of Moonee Valley, not limited to women and girls. I guess I was reading the comments in the consultation, and I really appreciate how the officers have worked to take that consultation process and work through those comments and try to work out exactly what is being said about the policy, because I think that some of the responses, unfortunately, some of the responses to the questions potentially demonstrate the point that we actually need a slightly bigger project around even greater inclusivity. Councillor Byrne, I think, spoke, or one of the councillors who has spoken, spoke to the need to implement the policy, and that being quite difficult. And I think that some of the comments in the feedback really go to that point, that it's the implementation that can be where the rubber hits the road a bit. There's no controversy around the policies, it's sort of the way in which that's implemented. But I think, unfortunately, some of the comments, and I probably don't recommend reading them to be blunt, there are some really quite hurtful, transphobic and not very nice, quite offensive comments in that consultation. And it says to me that we've got some serious work to do to make sure that our sporting community is safe and socially cohesive, and making sure that we work with all of our sporting groups to not just combat gendered violence, where there's been links between competitive sport and gendered violence, but also making sure there is safety and equality and accessibility. Also importantly, there's some really important comments there about accessibility. There are tales of experiences of women and girls that are instructive, but also I think the degree of intolerance I read in some of those comments say that we've got some serious work to do.
Thank you, Councillor Isa. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Hodgson?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And yes, I have no hesitation in supporting this recommendation. I think, you know, one of the impetuses behind this process of updating our policies was the fair access state government principles, which we want to embed so that we can access all of the funding opportunities that provides, because we absolutely have a lot of work to do in improving the physical spaces and also the community spaces that occupy those physical spaces, to make sure that our community facilities are inclusive and safe and appropriate for all genders. I think the comments, you know, the engagement we get in our consultations is expanding. We're getting so much good engagement, and amongst those comments that Councillor Isa's mentioned that are, you know, I won't say unfortunate, that's not a strong enough word, but that are troubling. There are also some comments that I think are troubling in another way, and it's about, you know, women and girls and gender diverse people who don't feel that our community facilities are a place for them at this stage. So we do have a lot of work to do in improving the physical spaces, and hopefully through this policy update we can get more money from the state government to do that as well. So happy to support this. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Hodgson. Any other councillor wish to speak to this motion? I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. We might just get Councillor Bedio back into the chamber, please. Thank you. Thank you. So we're up to 9.4, which is Niddrie Library and Community Hub project update. So councillors, the officer's recommendation is shown on the screen. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Byrne?
I'll move the officer's recommendation, please.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Sypek? Thank you. Councillor Byrne, would you like to speak to the motion?
We're all for exciting things happening in Rosehill Ward today. This one is... they're both super exciting. This is really super exciting. So the report is in regards to the Niddrie Library and Community Hub project, which has been, again, another project that has been ongoing for a long period of time. And it's basically stems from the fact that we have a Niddrie Library at the moment, which is so well loved, but quite frankly, it's not suitable for what we need for our community, and definitely not what we need for a potential growing community that will be coming into the North Essendon Niddrie Airport West area. So with a lot of work that's been going on, we are now at the stage to look at selecting a site. So 3 sites did come up for us to have a look at, one on Matthews Avenue, one on Ross Street and one on Hotham. Now the Ross Street site, for a variety of reasons, the officer's recommendation is not to pursue that site, and I do agree with that. It does have some really sensitive residential interfaces, and whilst it was a nice looking site, and I think it was a good idea that we had a look at it, I think there are also some very strong reasons why we don't progress it further, which leaves us with 2 very exciting sites, which is the Matthews Avenue site and the Hotham Street car park. Now, in terms of these sites, they both have their ups and downs, and I'm sure that when we put this out for community consultation, our community will tell us more ups and downs than what we already know, and that's one of the great things. This is going to be very interesting consultation. Just for a bit of background, the Matthews Avenue site, if we were to go ahead looking like the library, could come to about $37 million and would be a 5-storey building. The Hotham Road car park would be about $39 million and about 3-storey. I don't want to say too much else more in terms of those sites, because I think that what we'll get from the community, as I mentioned, will be really invaluable. Now, I say that noting that whilst we've been working on this for a long time, there is a lot of work that we still need to do. I'm mindful of project delays and scope creep, which is mentioned in the report, and also mindful of the planning control changes due to the VicGov's housing statement. But we're here, and as someone who loves our libraries, and I'm one of many in the municipality who often talk about how wonderful our libraries are and how exciting they are, I think taking this next step for the consultation in regards to getting a site selection will really get the community on board with this big project that we've been speaking about for years and years. It will be, hopefully, it will probably be one of the biggest projects that the next council or even the following council after that will be able to deliver, and it will be something that will be, I dare say, award-winning for the state or the country in the future, because it'll be that amazing. I'm so excited. Thanks, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Byrne. Councillor Sypek.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Last week I was in the city of Manningham, and if you ever get a chance, go out and have a look at their library. It is one magnificent library on multi-levels, and when I saw that I went, wow, I wish we could build something like this. But I must commend my colleague, Councillor Samantha Byrne. When she first got on council, one of the first discussions we had was about the library, and she has been championing this cause since day one. And this issue's been going on for quite a while. That was due to the fact that the current library is not actually a council property, it's something that we lease, and it's coming to the point now where we can do something about it. So, Councillor Byrne, thank you very much for keep pushing this project. It's now come to us as a report, and I look forward to our colleagues supporting your great initiative here.
Thank you, Councillor Sypek. Any other councillor wish to speak to the motion? No? Okay, I shall put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. 9.5, priority projects, council plan. Councillors, we're just going to have a 2-minute adjournment, so we shall be back at 7:29. Thank you. Sorry for that small intermission there for those watching, but we're up to 9.5, priority projects, council plan and health plan, and budget implementation update, quarter 3, 23 to 24, January to March. So councillors, the officer's recommendation is shown on the screen. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Isa.
Move the officer's recommendation, thanks.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Bedio, thank you. Councillor Isa, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, look, I love moving these motions because they are an update of all of the work that our officers have been doing, and as I think I say every time in moving these motions, they are the go-to snapshot of the work of council that is being done, often quietly, often without a whole lot of accolades, but there are tremendous projects that are reported to council through this process. And so this is the quarter 3 reporting of the council plan, the annual council plan priorities that we set out last June, and we're doing the same process at our next meeting. We'll be setting the priorities for the next 12 months. And so this is our quarter 3 report back on how we've been progressing on all of these priorities. And pleasingly, of the 29 council plan priorities, 93% are on track or complete. And of the 33 actions reported on the 2 disability action plans, 97% are on track or complete. Now, look, sometimes I have some criticism about the initiatives not necessarily being the full-blown piece of work being completed. Sometimes our initiatives, the language is more about progressing it or taking it forward. But we're realistic around the chamber. We know how long it can take to get something going, to progress it to its completion. So I think officers are very realistic in setting those priorities about what can actually be achieved in that 12 months. So when we're saying that something's completed, it's often that a particular stage of that particular project has been completed, not necessarily that the entirety of the work has been done. I might hope that some of my colleagues might jump in with some of the specific projects that we've reported on this term. I know that the opening of the Flemington Jering Hub was one of those projects, and I was there this morning for a fantastic session on empowering migrant and refugee women in our community, and it was just a wonderful moment to see that the hub filled with people doing, and the hub being used in the way that it's intended to be used, just filled with people laughing, eating and networking. Really terrific. So that's one of the big projects, and as I say, I might leave it to some colleagues to jump in with some other of the projects that we're pleased to see over the past 12 months. Thanks. Thank you, Councillor Isa. Councillor Bedio, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll concur with Councillor Isa. I think our quarterly updates are the best snapshot that we can provide to our residents to show exactly what work our officers are doing, and it's fantastic to see every quarter and to see such a significant rate of these projects being on track. A couple of the highlights for me, the FOGO rollout. So we've delivered over 10,000 bins and 42,000 kitchen caddies. So that's really exciting. And the opening of the Chris Lane field, that's a much anticipated project, and that's finally here. I will also touch on what you mentioned, Councillor Isa, in the sense of understanding the actions and what our expectation or what the community's expectation might be out of those actions. And one thing that I will touch on is part of the Disability Action Plan. Sorry, let me just find it here. It's Action 1.5 for inclusive communities, and that's something that I pushed a couple of years ago and worked with councillors and officers, was to complete a universal accessibility audit, and that was to assess council buildings and community facilities under Australian Standard 1428, which is the standards for access to premises, which is legislated under the Disability, the DDA Act. Now, the progress summary here states that guidance was provided to staff on accessing building accessibility data to use as a resource when planning infrastructure projects to incorporate accessibility improvements. And that's fantastic, and I hope to see that that work continues. But what I would really love to see out of this is that hopefully a full audit can be completed and that's brought back to council. The intent for that was that it would support council, whoever that may be, now or in the future, making decisions around budget, making decisions around future capital works and investments, because I truly believe that we need to ensure that all of our buildings in the very near future, as quickly as possible, are up to code with the DDA, and that's something I'm very passionate about, and I hope that we can work towards that in the very near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bedio. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor O'Neill?
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Just quickly, following on from Councillor Bedio, as someone who has a very personal experience with a family member who is in a wheelchair, so many buildings, particularly old ones, are inaccessible, whether there might be a small step to get in, a toilet that is unable to be accessed. So the fact that Moonee Valley is spending time to review accessibility within our buildings and making sure that we can bring them up to code is something that's really important for anyone who has any type of accessibility issues. So I'm really happy to see that there's some good work being done there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other councillor wish to speak to this motion? Councillor Hodgson?
Oh, look, just really quickly to say, yes, some of these initiatives that we have in our council plan this year are really big pieces of work, and they include things like the housing study, and we've talked about housing availability tonight. They include progressing the plans for the Niddrie Community Hub and Library, which we've talked about tonight. They include progressing our open space strategy, which we've talked about tonight, and also assessing our community facilities and our Moonee Valley 2040 action plan for those community facilities, which we've talked about tonight. So if it also, you know, you can see we're getting to the tail end of that year, and more our agenda items on the council agenda are going to be talking about some of these really big strategic issues and how we move them forward. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Hodgson. Any other councillor? No, I'll put that to the vote then. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. So we come to item 10, which is notice of motion, and we don't have any on tonight's agenda. Councillors, do we have any urgent business, please? No? Okay. So, confidential reports, we don't have any of those. So that concludes the business on tonight's agenda, actually. So close of the meeting is at 7:40. I thank you all very much for your attendance via live stream and those that were in the gallery. And our next meeting will be in 2 weeks' time. So we look forward to seeing you then. Thanks very much. Good night.